What's happening, gang? Hope it just finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast with me, Will Foden. Today, I'm going to give you a bit of a review and oversight about some cool stuff that's been happening around me and my business, but I'm also going to give you an understanding of how you should be reviewing your year as a professional CEO, executive, founder, or somebody who's high achieving to not only be more present during this time, because I'm fully aware a lot of people that are founders who are strapping businesses and wanting to have huge evolutions of growth, actually feeling like you're sitting on your hands is actually quite painful to do. Vice versa, I'm actually going to give you some key questions for you to ask yourself that you're not only going to be able to sit down, reflect, and strategize how to operate and dominate Q1 and beyond. It's actually going to take the pressure off rather than it feeling like you're consistently waiting to make your next move and being reactive heading into January. For me personally, last week was one of the best weeks of the year. Not only inside my business with some huge feats of performance of some of the team, but physically I achieved some huge milestones on a personal standpoint. And also I actually did something that many of you on social media may have been following me. I actually camped in a cave in the Lake District alongside Mr. Brad Foster and the Ascend Mountaineering team, which we were on a winter skills course on purpose. Yes, I wasn't kicked out by the missus having to sleep in a hole. I actually chose to do that. I'm going to give you some reasoning behind that afterwards. Starting at the beginning of the week, Mr. Andrew Robertson, shout out to him, won the Asia Championships in Turkey, powerlifting, just before his 60th birthday, getting the Singapore record for his back squat and also a personal best for himself. That was massively lit me up. Those that have been following along with the journey have all seen this man epitomizes what it means to live, lead, and perform at your best in times that matter. This guy is a legend and it absolutely sends it into oblivion like he just did. And like he said, so much to work on, but I was very proud to be alongside him in that journey. And just a nudge that to other corporate professionals, those that are telling me and giving me excuses that you've got higher pressure jobs so you can't commit to your physical well-being, please watch his story or I'll send you a video if you send me the message Robbo of how we operate together, because trust me, this guy is an absolute fucking operator. Throughout the rest of the week, I actually had an opportunity to give back too. Those that who've watched in and know what I've done before. I've worked in I've been a professional athlete. I actually worked with some professional sports people. I still work alongside some international athletes. Shout out to Zanisha. She got a silver medal. Was it on the weekend too? She absolutely, again, epitomizes for somebody who's a nurse. She's busy, but she's ambitious and absolute legend. But more so, I actually got to give back to some guys and ladies who are at school. King's School in Prestbury. I was invited to come and give a talk around how to actually live a high performance life. And something that I've always said to is if I can inspire a younger generation not to make the mistakes that I've made, I'll be happy. But also, especially in this time and age where people are lost and they're getting caught up in the social media plethora, actually showing youngsters what it's actually going to take for them to find elite levels of performance is imperative, because I feel the visual doesn't match the audio on social media. Most people live in this glorified hole of someone else's bullshit compared to understanding what actual deliberate practices of the world-class basics, improving your nutrition, improving your recovery, training like an athlete, respecting yourself, finding happiness, having bandwidth. The difference that makes the difference in that, though, there is absolutely no difference between a young man or a young lady who's at the ages of year 8 to sixth form, basically. So between the ages of 12 to 16 to a CEO running a multi-million-dollar company. Because actually using that athletic mindset is key. I talked about this on a social media post this week with Dan Reeve. He said that to me, he asks the question is, what would an athlete do? And 99% of the time it carries over to all forms of corporate athleticism. And that's what most people get stuck on. So I had the opportunity to do that. I then was lucky enough to speak with Adam Adshead, who's my coach at Factory BJJ, someone who, from a coaching practice and philosophy standpoint, I think is extremely talented and absolutely at an elite level, a 4th degree black belt, and his insights into what it takes to perform at the highest level whilst also coaching general population. I'm really looking forward to getting this podcast out. That's going to be huge, more from not just the factory guys and ladies who are involved, but for those who are pursuing challenges in physical endeavors, who are running businesses, who want to recognize the difference that makes a difference from what I learned in that which I've banged on around for ages, is actually becoming process driven. I'm not going to give too much away. Adam's story is incredible, and also the footage we got was absolutely nice. Shout out to Sam. And actually, a personal milestone for me, I received my purple belt that week. I was very much not expecting that. I've fought for 8 years. I've had a 2-year hiatus from Ironman training and Ultraman running. So I've rolled for 6 years fully. I remember just starting the sport. And I actually, I went there because I signed a new customer who worked for a big dog financial firm that will remain nameless. and he started challenging me on a rowing machine. And I said to basically showed him the science about it, and he basically, within those uncertain terms, said to me, without saying this to me, shut the fuck up, I'm paying you, so listen to me. And I nearly filled him in. I was very close. To those that know Singapore, you're not going to get violent anywhere, because if you do, you're going to get your head cut off. So I walked into Evolve and said, I'm stupid, and if I do that, if I strike, I'm going to get knocked out. Give me something different. And they put me. I rolled with Michelle Nicolini. First time I actually ever went in there. They thought I was a higher belt because of my ears, and I was a white belt, and I absolutely smashed. And ever since then, I fell in love with that sport. So I receiving my purple belt not only was a huge milestone for me for me sticking at it, because BJJ is the best sport in the world, but also the most frustrating. It actually made me level up. It made me feel like, actually, do you know, I've said to people before, I want to compete, and I haven't pulled the trigger with it, not because I haven't meant to. Life's been a bit busy, but next year that's on my target list, is to not be a pussy and get in the arena. Not that I've been a pussy, but my point being, becoming a purple belt was huge for me. So again, massive thank you to them and the team and everybody who I've ever worked with, especially the guys at Evolve who taught me when I was younger. That was massive. And then I actually got to explore part of a game that is a new part of the puzzle for me. Those that have been part of my process before, they'll know that I'm very much adventure driven. I love being outdoors, and I love exploring new environments and doing cool shit. And but on the same note of that, doing the 3-piece challenge this year, working more on corpus and taking more immersion experiences in high pressure environments like we have this year. We've gone into the desert twice and taken executives and professionals in there and pushed their limits. I want to make sure that I've got the most valuable information that's not only going to keep everybody safe, but it's going to be effective in challenges that, especially if you've been in the Lake District in the winter, you will know. Looking into it, we found, looking into it day by day, the weather got worse and worse and worse. According to the Met Office, it was a yellow weather warning. It was 95% rain the whole time. We had huge amounts of winds, and the SM Mountaineering team and us, we came to a decision that actually we changed the location a bit and headed out to a place that, if we could get into that, there was a cave there for us to camp in. So instead of being out in the open, which would have been absolutely horrific, we said, you know what, let's go and try and see where we can find this cover, this shelter. And luckily enough, it was free. Those that watch my Instagram, you'll see I literally slept in a bivvy bag underneath the worst rain ever in a cave. It was absolutely insane. I got 12 hours sleep. Went to bed at 8 p.m. Woke up at 8 a.m. It's funny what your circadian rhythm does. And just a little caveat off that, those that I've talked to when I talked about Canada, my stress markers actually improved massively after that night. My HRV jumped 10 points after that night. Went from average 70 to 80. This just shows the power of getting out in nature, and something why I value it so much is because actually not only is I believe that doing hard things in the mountains don't lie to you, and I love that physical challenge. Actually getting out and decompressing and stopping and just being at one with what's in front of you is massively important for me heading into 2026. And not only bring members of my team with me and do cool shit like, as I said, 3-piece challenges. We've got a couple of Snowdon trips, a Penny Fan trip, and also we're in the middle of finalising an immersion trip as well, which will be back into the desert. I want to bring that to the party and make sure that is part of my process. But learning the skills, the tiny bits of navigation, the tiny bits of setup, actually how to stay safe. On the way down, we were on our way back and the weather was horrific. And the path that we came up from actually was then flooded by a stream that had burst, and it was nearly up to your knee. So we had to traverse that, which was we jump across basically and make sure that, with layman's terms, if we had to wade through it, learning some simple stuff around managing that when you have other people that aren't athletic as you, that was huge. So massively thanks to Ed and the gang who took us out. That was massive. How is this relevant to you? I'm boshing on and banging on about my wins and about how cool that is, but that for me is that compound interest of 2026. Actually, if you're looking at my process within the year, that was a nice demonstration about what it can be. And what I want to do is actually be able to show this for you. If you're a founder, an entrepreneur, or somebody who's pushing their mind, body, and business to their limits, I know you're fucked. With all due respect, because if you're not, I guarantee you're not working hard enough. But the difference now is figuring out how to find elite levels of performance with yourself. And that comes down to not only reviewing and assessing where you've been, that actually means building up deliberate practice in mundane tasks that are going to compound over time, so that 2026, this time next year, you're going to be a new echelon, a new evolution with your mind, body, and your business, and you're going to feel like you're in the best shape of your life and that you're absolutely cooking on gas. Another shout out to one of my clients. I've literally just got off the phone to her, Salmon Queef. I shout out to you, lady. Absolutely sending it into oblivion. And this year, she's gone from being reactive, sore, injured, and not knowing what next thing to do apart from thrash herself, to fueling her performance, looking absolutely incredible, smashing the fuck out of her business, and more so, speaking to her, she's calm and collected and focused. And what I want to do is give you that. So what would you do if you're driving? Please don't do this whilst you drive. Get a pen. I'm going to go through I've got 7 points here for you. And if you'd like a copy of this, if you are driving on social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, or email, or wherever you find me, just send me the word goal or 2026. Either one, I'll just send you a Google Drive link. You can take this. This is what I've just sent to the Built for Pressure team. Okay. So when we're looking at our leadership playbook for 2025, 2026, the first thing I want you to do is actually understand what's the main things that you're grateful for this year. Good, bad, or the ugly. People will think this is wishy-washy. People will think that this is just some he's searching for affirmations of manifesting and that kind of bollocks. It's actually not. This actually improves neurochemistry and neural pathways of improving things like oxytocin and that kind of thing. What does that actually mean? It means actually the more that you start to find gratitude in what you have currently, you'll stop measuring against the ideals of everything else. If you're entrepreneurial, you want to grow. The minute you hit that target, all you do is you stretch that target even further. The issue with that is you're never satisfied. If you're never satisfied, you're never present. If you're never present, this is where you lose your relationships. This is where you don't find happiness. This is where you get to the end and you realize you've left shit on the table. You've not been present. And my job for you is for you to win at business, look like a fucking athlete, and more so enjoy the process at the same time. So finding gratitude is massive. And actually, then what I want you to do is write that into 3 key categories. Okay, so you got your, again, mind, body, business, professional, personal, and athlete, however you want to coin that. Because what I want you to just remember is, I mentioned this again, I've done a video of this on YouTube, on here about goal setting. That is measured about the gap in the game by Dr. O'Sullivan. Basically, if you're measuring against ideals and you feel like you need to be doing things, you're never going to get there. You're always going to be in a void. Wanting to do it means you've got the keys to your car and you can reflect on where you've come from. I have come from the start of the Stay Strong Collective. I left Singapore on a mission not to lose. I'm now heading into 2026 with Built for Pressure to actually be on a world stage for actually how to help leadership performance evolve from just being P&L and spreadsheets to being a human first approach and actually helping people lean into challenge with focus and determination without breaking. That's the name of the game for me. I'm not sure what it is for you, but I want you to take that. Next thing I want you to measure is actually the behaviors you're going to need. Things that you should leave behind in 2025. That's massive. One thing for me at the beginning of the year, I was measuring against other people's ideals about what I should be doing inside my profession. By the end of this year, Will Foden is building his own game. Because if I build my own game, all I can do is learn from my game rather than figuring it out from somebody else. I want you to think about what behaviors you need, whether it's a physical behavior, whether it's a case of from a recovery standpoint, whether your sleep's shit, or your shit's shit, like you said that as well, or if from a professional standpoint, are you playing your game or are you playing somebody else's? I then want you to go through actually these 5 key drivers. And I want you to assess where you're at on these drivers. Just a little nudge. If you want the driver's assessment, this is a free 2-minute test that will literally determine exactly where you are on this scale and what you need to work on and give you free trainings. Again, just DM me the word driver, or at the bottom in the comments here, I'll leave you the links for the review document, and let's do that. It's a lot easier. Okay, so you've got personal growth to start with. How much have you grown and developed this year, however big or however small? Then you've got athletic performance. What did you achieve with your physical performance this year? Big or small? Me personally, one of the biggest reflections of this year is making sure that I'm 80% year round. And that means I'm the fittest, strongest and leanest I've been in a very long period of time without having an end goal. So how can you do that? Next, you've got professional impact. And professional impact is how effective have you been at delivering inside of your business? Whether it's as a leader, whether it's just as a professional, whatever that is. You then got 2 more. Ownership and direction, that's your leadership skills. What have you improved on as a leader this year, and how was your focus on it? And then lastly, your self-awareness. This is your emotional regulation. This is the bit that separates you from the good and the great. And I said, what have you noticed that you've done that's helped you work alongside yourself this year, not break yourself? Okay, so take those. If you want a copy of it, it's in the comments. Okay. You've then got professional targets. Everyone here should know what their P&L is. They should all know what they're trying to achieve. They should all know their numbers from a where they're trying to get to, or how their next evolution looks like. If you haven't got that, and you're at the first stages of being a founder, measure it in 2 categories: surviving or growing. That's the key way of doing it. Most people overcomplicate that, and they don't realize what they actually need. For us, it's doing it the other way around. It's actually putting yourself in those brackets gives you 2 different types of behavior heading into January. And then lastly, what I would love you to know, there's a few more questions here, but I'm not going to bore you to death with it because this is 15 minutes. I don't want this to be 25 minutes. It's understanding the deliberate practice that you need to elicit the results you're asking for next year. Deliberate practice is the mundane stuff. An example, tracking your food for the 365 days of the year. Mundane practice. If it's deliberate, you can manage it. Training or moving 6 days a week. Training or moving 6 days a week. Training doesn't have to be an hour and a half long. Training can be 25 minutes. Moving can be going for a walk when you're on a Zoom call. Or it can be giving yourself some bandwidth to know that you can give more in your next board meeting, whatever that is. Deliberate practice for me is actually learning to take care of the detail. It's not being over detailed. Just to be clear, most people in this position, they look for perfection. Perfection is literally a load of is never going to serve you in art, because everything, if you're leading a team and you're strapping a business, everything you do is ugly. Everything doesn't fit the normal mold, and nothing fits the social media positivity bullshit that usually comes out. It has to be ugly for it to be effective. It's done is better than perfect. And my thing is, what's your deliberate practice? An example, one of the biggest key gripes that I have around people that say they don't journal is they have this weird association, and they close their eyes and they see like a girl dressed as a fucking princess writing Dear Diary bullshit. It's absolutely not that. After action reviews are imperative for elite levels of performance. Review, assess, measure, outcome, behaviors needed. Those are what you need to be doing. And if you're not doing that, you are then leaving everything to chance. I saw someone, I can't remember who said it. It's like you going into a hair salon and asking somebody to cut your hair with the lights off. If you don't assess it or you don't have any form of focus. Same thing with this. If you don't review what you're doing, you're just going in there blind. You've got no idea. So those are some key traits that I want you to take from this. And then lastly, the last piece of this is actually very, very simple. Is then what's your game plan? What does your year look like? And if your first thing in your year next year needs to be family and priorities that are personal. Because if you build that out, you've then got landing pads to know when you've got hard work, when you've got easy work, when you've got time on, time off, and vice versa. You can plan everything else around that, and it means you don't lose the number one thing that should be on your plate, which is actually your family or the people that you love. Or if you haven't even got somebody and it is you, it's making sure that you're serviced rather than you being a yes man to everybody else. So anyway, I digress. A lot of information in that, a lot of time. This is the week before Christmas. I'm not sure how I'm going to play Christmas, whether I'm in a kind of a weird place where I think Christmas should be off. I think Christmas should be a time where you should not be on your phone listening to a podcast personally. So the week after, I'll be giving that. And then soon, we're in the middle of just sorting out that the podcast that Adam Adhead will be out, which if you're into BJJ or elite levels of performance, there's some absolute gold in that. I'm looking forward to that coming out. So anyway, I digress. As per usual, if I don't catch any of you guys before, I massively, and ladies too, I really appreciate you being part of this. This is part of a journey for me, and hopefully I'm giving you some value so that you not only can take more action, you can keep winning, but more to the point, feel like you're not a fucking alien. That's the number one thing, is that we are wired differently. This is not meant to be for everybody, and you being so high achieving can be a lonely place. And hopefully this podcast has given you some solace that you're not in the wrong place and actually you're doing the right things, and more so there are more people like you. I'd love to communicate, talk more and connect over this kind of stuff, because I think that's the name of the game. Heading into 2026, no one who's listening to this wants information. They want to actually understand there's a real human behind this, and for me, I want to bring that to their table. I've got some massively audacious goals that I need to finalise that I think will change the fucking face of this. I'm really looking forward to you being part of it. Anyway, I digress. I'll catch you guys soon.